Today's video is about sgraffito, and in the visual arts, sgraffito has been used in painting and pottery, and it means scratched in Italian. So on our learning targets here, the plate has sgraffito carved on 50% of the plate or more. So I really want to point that out for you here. Again, it's in your criteria and in your rubric, and meet standard would be 50%. Okay, so that would be this kind of plate here, and it's broken, but you can see half of it is carved away. Approaching standard would be not quite 50%, and below standard would be definitely not 50%. So nice thing that the person carved, but didn't scratch away enough. So I wanted to keep that forefront in your mind as you get started. Next, I want to show you some examples. This is actually done on a cup where I've added some color, and I'll show you how to add some color in at the end. It's just an option. I have some other plates here that I've added some color as well. These are all 50% carved out. So wherever there is not black is where it's carved out. Okay, so you can do an all-over design, you can do like a landscape, whatever you like, so long as it's school appropriate, of course. And so first you're going to go to this page and you're going to draw out two possibilities of what you're going to carve, and you're going to get me to stamp it off right here, and then you can upload it to Canvas. So that is the first thing you're going to do. You see, I just go and I stamp it if it is drawn out, and I'm looking for 50% of it black and 50% of it white. Okay, then we're just going to go through this main idea here, and you guys are going to take notes. So the first step is prepare a plate by adding newsprint as a barrier. So I have some plates for you. They're just like kid plastic plates. You're going to take 2 pieces of newsprint, and this is where you can just tear the newsprint into wider strips, and it acts kind of like a barrier. Like if you're baking cookies, you would put down Pam, or if you're making cupcakes, right, you put down a cupcake liner sometimes. So this will just help it release from the mold. So our plate is the mold. And so I'm just kind of alternating them so that I get it covered, the plate covered, and prepared. And I just like to push it down a little bit, and I can bend it around the edges as well, just to kind of get it to form to that shape. Next, I'm going to take just a little damp sponge and add some water so that it lays down flat inside here. And at first it's kind of a struggle, and then it just starts to work out. You don't want it super wet. Newsprint's really thin, but this does help it kind of sink down into the plate a little bit better. Okay, and then step 1, roll out a slab of clay. So I'm going to go do that and come back. Here's my slab of clay, and I'm going to rib it with a card. Remember, ribbing not only takes out the canvas texture, but it makes it a little bit more dense, and that's helpful for us so that it's stronger. Denser can make the clay a little bit stronger. Then I'm going to cut around the plate and smooth it on the inside. So I like to just start by seeing how much clay I'm going to need. So I just cut off kind of the excess, and I could use that for another project or make a mini plate or something like that. But just taking that away, and then I'm going to take the smooth side that I just ribbed, this side right here, I'm going to put it face down. So yeah, let me get that all smoothed out again. So this smooth side is going to go face down onto my mold. So I'm just flipping it over. And making sure I cover the whole thing, and then I'm just going to pick it up and drop it. And I do it a couple times. Just pick it up, just a couple inches off the table and drop. And it helps it kind of slump in there. And then I can press with a sponge into the corners and really get it to the shape of the plate. Really mold it and stretch the clay. And this also takes out that canvas texture. So we do not want any canvas texture at Now I have a fettling knife and I'm just going to go along the edge of the plate. So I'm kind of feeling with my knife where the edge of the plate is and just cutting off the clay. This is really important because we don't want our clay to go up and around the edge and go back downward, kind of in a U shape or an upside down U. We don't want that to happen because when that happens, it often cracks right there. So we want the edge of the clay to be horizontal on the top edge of the plate. So I'm kind of giving it a rough cut, and then I'll go back and smooth it out with my my tools, my fingers, my sponge, that kind of thing. Okay, so it's still on that plate mold, and I am smoothing it out, making it look all beautiful. Now, here's the key. We want to let this dry to leather hard before we take it out of the mold, but we do not want it to dry so much that it is greenware. So this is a project for you to really experience leather hard. And so here it is. Cut off extra. I just did that. Step 6, let dry to leather hard. Okay, and if you don't remember what leather hard means, it means that it can hold its own weight. So if I have this slab here and I hold it, gravity isn't pulling it down, right? So a side view, if gravity pulls it down like that, then it's not leather hard. Okay, leather hard doesn't mean actually completely dry. It just means it can hold its own weight and not slump over. So I have let it dry out of a bag for about a day, maybe 2 class periods. Maybe I put it in the bag and overnight I just left the bag kind of open. But you can see here it is now drier. The bottom's still a little wetter, and I can peel off all these pieces of paper and I can really work on that edge there. See that edge there? It really needs to be cut around and made more perfect. So I am expecting very high craftsmanship on this project because this is towards the end of the semester, so you're going to use all of your skills and knowledge, and you know that high craftsmanship means that all of the edges are smoothed and rounded, nothing is pointy or sharp or broken. Okay, so I'm just going to cut around the edge here and help me achieve that good craftsmanship. Okay, so we're going to use this Velvet Underglaze by Amico. It is jet black, and this is a new product for my classroom that you guys haven't used before, but it is, see, it's leather hard, okay, and this is true underglaze, and so it is going to be a matte finish, which is great. It really is great. You want to make sure that you wet a fan brush. I'm going to go wet it and come back. You can see now it's a little bit wet, and you can just load up the fan brush with your glaze, and you want to load up the tippy tips, the tips of the fan brush, okay? Like a ballerina would be on her tippy toes, right? You don't want to get it way up in here Okay, and you just want to do a nice even coat, um, full coat, and then you're going to let it dry until it is completely not shiny anymore. Okay, and so you're going to do this 3 times, 3 full coats to get this really dark black. So I am going to, you can let it sit out. You can, I think that's the best. It's just to let it sit and dry for a few minutes. So here it is after a few minutes, maybe 5–10 minutes, and you can see it has absorbed most of it. There's still a few shiny areas. So I'm going to do a second coat. Number 2. And I'm going to fully cover it. And if I notice the brush strokes are going one way, I'm going to go the opposite way. So this one I noticed the brush strokes were kind of going horizontal, so I'm going to go vertical, more vertical strokes. And I'm really covering it, okay? It's a nice, even, flat coat. This brings me to something I really want to cover in this video, is that these still go in the bisque kiln. The clay has not been bisqued yet, so they have to go in the bisque kiln. Please do not put them in the glaze kiln yet, okay? All right, so I've done 2 coats. I need my 3rd coat. Again, it was just a few minutes to dry, maybe a little bit longer if it's not quite leather hard, but yours should be leather hard, right? And then just a nice coat, and then we'll get ready for the next step. All right, I'm going to let that dry, cover up my glaze or my underglaze, put it back. Now I have it dry. I have 3 coats, and I have some different carving tools. This first carving tool is the one I use. It is a sgraffito carving tool. That's how they sell it. And it has a nice tip. One's a little more pointed than the other. If you want to make bigger lines, a tool like this will work. I have a smaller tool, and then I have some of these with the green, the silver, the blue, and the pink handles, and these are living on my desk in this bin here, and you're going to sign them out. They all have a number, and you're going to sign them out, okay, and then sign them back in because they get lost very quickly. So you really want to have a design. So mine broke, so I'm just going to do this design, but you want to have a design already in mind that is 50% carved out, and you want to carve pretty deep and pretty wide so that if you want to add color afterwards, you can. Now these little pieces here have to go in the garbage because they have underglaze on them. We do not want to put that back in our clay and recycle it, because then we'll have little bits of black clay, and the people who use that will not be happy, because this clay, right, when it fires, it's white. Okay, so wherever I'm carving away will be white, and wherever there's black will be black. Okay, and so I'm just going to continue to carve and talk a few minutes about some of the things. When you're carving, you'll notice these little bits, these little crusty bits happen, and if you can remove them, fine. Otherwise, let them just stay there, and when it is fully dry, you can brush them off with a paintbrush, like kind of sweep it away with a dry paintbrush. But if I were to sweep it away right now, it might get into some of the carving areas, and then that's just a hot mess, because it has these little crusty bits have that underglaze on it. So, you know, you can do one of those and wipe it away, kind of shaking it off, but I would wait until it's fully dry and then just choose a dry, flat brush to kind of sweep all of those bits away, and then those bits go in the garbage can. We cannot recycle them because they will just be full of black underglaze. You also want to carve wide enough so that if you want to add color, there'll be like a little channel that the color can go into, that can drop into. And it's up to you if you want to add color or not. But some students don't carve deep enough or wide enough when they're carving. And so that's why I like this sgraffito tool. It's just like the perfect width and everything. It's not too thin. So you can see I've just carved my first one and I'm just going for it. There, you just have to kind of go for it. So I'm going to fast forward some of the carving, and after you're done carving, this goes in the bisque kiln. Okay? We don't want it to go in the glaze kiln yet. So I'm back to talk about adding color. These are my colors: bluegrass, blue isle, purple, grapple, and purple haze. And I have my water and a sponge, and sometimes I also have a rag. And I have some different widths of paintbrushes. You're going to want a small paintbrush. And first I wipe down, and all of the white parts are where I carved out. That's still just unglazed clay. Okay, and I'm going to pick my thinner paintbrush for this. I just think it works better. And remember, we're using this stroke and coat, so 3 coats make it solid. Okay, and so I'm just going to get the tip of my paintbrush and go in that channel. Okay, I'm just using the broken one to show you. Okay, but this is where you have to be kind of a steady hand and you go in the channel. But if there is something that you need to wipe away, you can always wipe it away. You can always wipe it away and start over, or if it gets onto the black, you definitely want to wipe it away so it doesn't cover up the black. Okay, so I am just going and painting in the color that I want. And then I would clear glaze it. All of them need to be clear glazed and put in the glaze kiln. Okay, so yeah, that's adding color. Adding color is an option. You can keep it black and white. You still need to clear glaze it, but sometimes it's really fun to add color. So I just want to show you here my cup, right? So to make sure that I didn't get any glaze on the black parts, I wiped away gently on top of it. And so I'm going to take my sponge and just gently wipe away any of the glaze that got on the black parts. And since the colors are down in that channel, it's really easy. If you didn't carve deep enough or wide enough, it's not that easy. Okay, so these ones I did, they're really thick and deeply carved, so it was easy for me to add glaze to. I've been trying to add glaze to this plate, which is a student plate, and they just did not carve wide enough or deep enough. So when I go in and I put some glaze in there, you can see it just gets all over the purple, and then when I wipe it off with my sponge, it just wipes completely off. And so this is a plate of what not to do. I've been trying to fix it since it was, you know, left here. I thought, oh, I'll add some color to it, but it's really difficult. So that's why you want something that is really a deep, thick channel for the glaze to go down in if you want the color. So that is the sgraffito project. So I hope you enjoy it, have fun, make whatever it is that you really want to make, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!